Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hey, Pretty Girl Club. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm going to get set up and I'm going to let some of you guys come in. I haven't streamed in so long. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Hey, can you guys hear me? I'm just like sitting in my kitchen right now. So if you hear echoing, that's why. Yamina A says, I'll be back in 11 minutes. Love to read says, hey, Grace Life Exotical says, I'm here. Oh, I need some more mods. So I have to try to remember how to make you guys mods. Oh, crap. I don't know how to make you guys into mods, but hopefully I can figure that out. Indigenous Exotical says, we hear you. Pan Mulattoism says, we hear you. Good to see you live again. Yeah, I haven't been live in, I think it said like 9 months. So the thing about going live, I know that it helps you in the algorithm, but I'm also like, okay, in order to be live, I have to like actually be live, which is a problem for me because I just like to pre-record my videos and then just go about my day. One West Princess says, "Hey girl, hey Pretty Girl Club." So this live stream is just going to be like us talking our shit. A lot of you guys wanted me to do a psychoanalysis on Love Island. I have a couple of episodes on the members page. I just refuse to put all of my good information just out here in the public because we all know that we have infiltrators in the exotical space. Nevea de Janae says, Yay, I never caught you live before. Yeah, I haven't been live in I think like 9 months or something. Cause I just feel like the whole point of being a content creator is so I can just make my content and then like live my life outside of content. So I don't know how long this stream is gonna be. Um Copy Castle says excited for the topic of the day. Yeah, some of you guys were talking in the Discord. By the way, be sure to join the Patreon if you haven't already, or the members page, because then you'll get access to the Discord. But in the Discord, the pretty girls were saying how somebody was talking about Amaya from Love Island. They were talking about Amaya Papaya. I love Amaya. They were saying that she has no personality and that she's basically boring. But my question is, okay, what is having a good personality? Because the woman saying it was an unambiguous mono dark skinned black woman. I think her name is Lovely T or Lovely Ti. You know that girl that does like the she's kind of like the impressive channel. Um, but yeah, it's like, why is there always a random person accusing an exotical of having no personality? And I think sometimes women are speaking from a place of trauma because as exoticals, I feel like a lot of us have the beauty to the point where we don't have to try to overcompensate with our personality. And notice how whenever they say, you don't have a personality, they can never define what an actual personality is. It's like, okay, why would I listen to you? Your culture literally considers people like Sexy Red to be the standard of having a personality. So it's like, who is this magical, mythical person that has such a great personality? What's her name? But let me try to catch up with some of these comments. I'm already going on a rant. I hope I'm not screaming in the mic. Okay, let me see here. Yamina says back. A says, hi, babe. This is so fun. Same way people called Clark boring. Yeah, it's like, okay, so if I'm not a walking caricature of a ratchet, unambiguous woman, then I have no personality. And again, some women don't have to have the same level of personality. We don't have to overcompensate and be loud and rambunctious. And if you look at MLS women just in general, there are a lot of exoticals who are successful and they are not personalities. Like they're not known for being a TV personality or for being like this big social media personality. Look at Lori Harvey. She is not a TV personality, but she's still successful. She's still a beauty standard. Look at Justine Skye, Jasmine Tooks. Look at Beyonce. She is literally an icon. She's not known for her personality. So it's like, okay, some people have access to other privileges. And so their privilege stacking journey is going to be different. And this is why I'm glad the exoticals have our own space where we can speak on women of our phenotype. We can speak on our own image and stop allowing other content creators to speak from their perspective. It's like We don't have the same trauma of being overlooked. So I feel like some women who have felt invisible in terms of beauty, they feel like the only way to gain visibility is by having a quote unquote personality, but they won't explain what this mythical personality is that you're supposed to have. A says the same way people called Clark boring. Yeah, and it's like, how is she boring? What was she supposed to do? Was she supposed to come in and like start beefing with Olandria? Was she supposed to be catty? Because it's like no matter what Clark would have done, she's damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. I love Clark, by the way. She's so pretty. Um, yeah, so I found that interesting. Um, A says she's jealous because Amaya is not boring. One West Princess says Amaya was the most authentic. You kind of smell like a baka says if you have a personality, they'll try to say you're trying too hard. Exactly. They'll call you a pick me if you have like a big personality. Somebody said people loved Amaya for a reason. Yes. This person says personality to them equals loud and vulgar. Oh, I forgot I can click on it and it'll show up on the screen. This person says a lot of people think if you're attractive, you don't have to have a personality because you don't have to work for attention. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the advantages of pretty privilege. I do think that a lot of people, so it could be a disadvantage too. A lot of people project things onto you. So, whatever that person's stereotype is of a pretty girl, they're going to stereotype you as that. So I've noticed, generally speaking, men tend to stereotype pretty women a little bit more positively, unless they are incel men. And I've noticed that sometimes women may stereotype pretty women as like being dumbasses, being sluts, or being boring if we're not slutty. So it's like, okay, if she would have been sexual, she's a hoe. If she would have been like super flirty with everybody, she's a pick me. And then if she's just kind of quiet and to herself and more of a girl's girl, then she's boring. And then people have the audacity to say, like, oh, stay out of black women's business. Okay, then stay out of mixed women's business. Stay out of Afro Latinas business. And then also, I saw a clip that one of the exoticals shared of that Amaya clip. They showed that creator, Lovely T, talking about Amaya. She was like, yeah, Amaya, she's just relying on pretty. She's relying on being pretty because she has this peanut butter skin tone. I'm like, wait a minute. I have never in my life memorized the exact skin tone of a dark skinned black woman and given her skin tone a name. Like, oh, she has this deep hazelnut skin tone, so she gets to rely on being pretty. I've never done that. I don't study other women's phenotypes that heavily. Anybody who goes out of their way to study your phenotype, the only people that do that are men who want to fuck you and women who want to compare themselves to you. So that's why we see a lot of like doxing and stuff in the exotical space, because it's mainly women who want to compare themselves to the exoticals because we are their standard of beauty, or it's like incel men who couldn't access you or they wanted to fuck you, so they want to see if you meet their sexual fantasy. So this person A says, right, like, bye, Clark is a whole baddie. Yeah, I saw her in an ad with Taylor. Oh, and by the way, I just want to make it clear, all these men are dusty. All the guys on Love Island are completely dusty. I don't think any of those men are a prize. We are going to talk about Nicolandria as well. One West Princess says they hated Clark because of Taylor. That pissed me off. Yeah, and it's like, why do you have all the smoke for Clark and you have no smoke for Taylor? And then they were like, "Oh, Clark, she was mumbling things under her breath." Okay, I didn't hear Clark mumbling anything. Even Olandria, when they were interviewing her, she was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that she was mumbling anything." And it's like it doesn't seem like Olandria and Clark have any beef, but I don't really keep up with the podcasts. Grace Life Exotical says they're just trying to nitpick with us for real, for real. Yeah, a lot of women, they project their insecurities onto you. So they nitpick with us because that's what they do to themselves. And it's because that's what society has done to them according to their own talking points. So this is why you see some of them saying things like, oh, well, her wig is not perfect, or I don't like her makeup, or her concealer. Like I saw people talking shit about Clark's concealer. And I'm like, okay, who are the main group of women that I see wearing the most extreme high yellow, light skin, white passing concealers? Gabrielle Kay says, hi. Hey, pretty girl. A says, now Clark is living her dream life. Yep, I really think that's what it is. Amari says, doing a Bratz doll makeup look while listening to this. Yes, you guys can listen to this while you're getting ready for your happy hour. So I don't know if I'm going to a happy hour because my friend, okay, so this is going to sound really random, but I went to my first ever happy hour literally like a week ago because I don't drink. So I don't really go to happy hours. I didn't really know that going to happy hours was even a thing. And so me and my friend, we went to this fancy little patio restaurant. It was like they had outdoor seating and everything. And then they had stuff for like $5. I was like, "Oh my god, like is this why people go to happy hours?" um but yeah, you can listen to this while you're doing your beauty routine. You can get your tea and your popcorn. So I just got done being a beluga, by the way, for those of you who are coming in. Sorry, it's only been like 5 minutes. Wait, how long has it been? Oh, it's been like 10 minutes and I already went on a rant. Um, but yeah, you guys can listen to this while you're doing your walk. You can listen while you're getting ready for happy hour. Um, Bella says, I feel like Clark. By the way, shout out to Bella Rain. Be sure to subscribe to her channel. Be sure to subscribe to Black Exotical, the Exotic Brown Skin, Exotical Tax Collector, pretty much anyone who has a channel and they are part of the Pretty Girl Club. Be sure to support them. But Bella Rain says, I feel like Clark was trying to be cool because she was new. And the whole Olandria thing, that's a lot. And Olandria, okay, I want to say, and I said this on the members page, Olandria was actually my favorite person all the way up until like episode 26. Whenever the episode was where she started going off the stand on business, she was my favorite person all the way up until then. But it's like, okay, even in the beginning, Olandria, you are too smart and you're too classy to not realize that Taylor is not even into you. In the beginning, he literally said, I'm not sure if I'm attracted to her. This man was, he did not compliment her not one time. And so that tells me that her psychology is that she's used to receiving breadcrumbs. And now, unfortunately, she's receiving breadcrumbs from Nick. The only difference is Nick is more charming than Taylor. Okay, let me see here. Bella Rain says, that's what I said. They were all dusty. Taylor was trash. Right. And also, like, okay, so when Taylor was in the house, I felt like Taylor was kind of a sleeper. So I didn't really have a problem with Taylor that much. Like, I knew they were all dusty, but I didn't really like have an ick as bad for Taylor as I do now because now that I've seen him and I see that he's like all on social media and he does like a lot of TikToks and stuff, I'm like, ew, oh my God. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Brittany Burnham says it was the producers. Yeah, I believe it. I definitely think they can edit things and take it out of context. You guys see people doing that with the exoticals all the time. Bella Rain says Taylor should have just said that he was sure about Clark instead of being a liar. Yeah, I think Taylor has a lot of passive energy, but a lot of people don't realize Nick has the same energy that Taylor has. So it's hilarious how people have all this smoke for Taylor and they have no smoke for Nick. It's like, no, you guys, they are both dusty. They both behave the same way. Both of them will tell one woman one story, and then they will go and tell the other woman the same story. We saw that Nick went from Bella to Sierra, and he was lying to the both of them. He was omitting things on purpose. He literally was making out with Bella, and then seconds later came into the photo booth and was making out with Sierra. And then he didn't tell Sierra that. And then later on, Nick tried to get with Jaden, and Jaden actually saw through his charm, which I love Jaden, by the way. Jaden saw through the bullshit, and so she didn't pick his ass. She was like, "Oh no, he's way too dusty for me." Like he's one of those guys that flirts with everything. He flirts with every woman. He comes off like he just wants to taste every color of the rainbow. And obviously, he just dates all kinds of women of color. So Bella, Sierra, Olandria. So it's like, okay, Nick, you're just a regular run of the mill hoe. And also, let's talk about Nick's career because if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's a nurse. So it's like, okay, you guys were talking all this shit about hypergamy and leveling up and high value man. And I'm going to get an old white man and he's going to be walking with a cane and I'm going to go golfing. And then you have the same group of people literally fangirling over someone getting with a nurse. Nick is what, 24, 25, maybe in his 20s. How much money do you think the average entry level nurse makes? The average nurse in their 20s, in their 20s, how much do you think they make? Because it's definitely not giving millions. Okay, so They talk big shit, but in reality, a lot of them fawn over these average Joe middle class men who are not even loyal. Nick has no loyalty. And so, yeah, I mean, I have a whole episode about them. Um, Corrine Smith says, OMG, I caught the live. Welcome to the Pretty Girl Club. Olandria was a girl's girl until she coupled up with Nick. Ooh, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. You're so right. Because they had all that smoke for Huda. They had all the smoke for Huda about, well, you're not being a girl's girl. And it's like, okay, none of you guys are really being girls right now, because in Shelly's case, she had smoke for Huda and had no smoke for Ace. Ace was grabbing her ass. He was bouncing her ass on him. So it's like she had no smoke for Ace. It takes two people to participate in a kiss. So it's like, okay, well, she was not being a girl's girl because she was essentially kind of slut shaming Huda. But then, like, she did not slut shame Ace. Ace is the ultimate Dusty. Ace is the ultimate slut. Ace has never even had a serious relationship, if I remember correctly. He's like a baby. Isn't he like 22 or 23? It's like this dude is literally like a college freshman. Well, actually, no, he'd be like a college senior. Did he even go to college? Pink Sugar Cake says, I voted no to getting away with being boring because of the frequent questions about what we do with our time and even constant suggestions on what we should be doing. So Pink Sugar Cake is talking about how a lot of people, they live vicariously through a lot of pretty women. And so there's like this natural curiosity that people have about us. I feel like a lot of times it's almost like they put you on a pedestal and it's like they want you to live up to their expectations. A says, girl, go to that happy hour. Well, I don't think there's a happy hour tonight. I don't know. I don't keep up with happy hours. I literally just heard of the like, okay, when I was thinking of happy hour, I was thinking of like food. And so that's literally why I thought me and my friend were going to the restaurant. I thought we were going there. Okay, this is what we were supposed to do. So we were supposed to have like a girls' work day where all of us do like business stuff. See, this is the benefit of having pretty girl friends in real life. So sometimes me and my friends do this. Actually, me and one of my friends are doing this tomorrow. We will meet up and then we all bring our laptops or our phones and then we just do whatever we need to do. So sending emails to people, paying bills. Sometimes I will take my friends' photos and stuff, or they will take my photos. Sometimes I'll help them get like social media content or like, I don't know, we just do like pretty girl strategy stuff. So that's what we were doing that day. And she was like, oh, it's a happy hour. So I was thinking, oh, it's a restaurant where it's like we can eat, but it's kind of like a coffee shop in a way. So like I brought my laptop, like I wore jeans and everything, and it was all swanky and fancy. A says, get a cute mocktail. I should have got a mocktail. I did not get a mocktail. And the reason why is because mocktails are actually pretty high calorie. I'm not a soda person. So I try not to drink my calories. I try not to drink sugar because I don't want that to mess up my teeth. I don't want to get like cavities and stuff. Um, yeah. Grace Life Exotical says, enjoy. Mickey Oritz says, first time coming while you're live. Yeah, I don't usually go live. It says on my channel the last time I went live was like 9 months ago. So now I'm getting my exotical tax. Yamina says, so glad you decided to do a live again. Yeah, I was just like, you know what, fuck it. Like, let me just try because um it's just good to like have a variety of content. I also was trying to schedule my shorts too. Yummy says, finally, I made it. Yes, that's such a cute picture, Yummy. Bella Rain says, I feel like her feelings got hurt, but Taylor was so tomatoes, like trash, basically. I hate that for her. She needs a rich man. I agree. I felt like Olandria, with how she carried herself, I was shocked that she was even still interested in Taylor. She doesn't strike me as a breadcrumb type of girl. But it turns out, though, I do think she is probably used to breadcrumbs. I think she's one of those women who can transition from monocultural to multicultural. And I talked about this in the members page. But the reason she hasn't is because she prioritizes Black voices. So if you look at her on the show, you'll see her prioritizing Shelly. She prioritizes Ace. She prioritizes Taylor. And now she's prioritizing Nick, partially because of all the Black women who are living vicariously through her. So a lot of unambiguous women talk about how they feel like pressure. So it's almost like Olandria is under this pressure to be a representative for like all the swirlers and stuff. It's like a lot of women, they live vicariously through her. knowing that they don't look like her. Their body doesn't look like hers. Their teeth don't look like hers. Their cheekbones don't look like hers. Their makeup doesn't look like hers. Their edges don't look like hers. So, anyway, it's a mess. Sihana says, facts. Can someone please explain how Nick is getting breadcrumbs? Wait, how Nick is getting breadcrumbs from Nick? Do you mean how Alandria is getting breadcrumbs from Nick? Well, with Olandra and Nick never, well, okay, I will say this. Nick actually was attracted to Alandria at the beginning, so I noticed this myself. But he's attracted to everybody. He's just a good old-fashioned hoe. He's a good old-fashioned college frat boy who wants to taste all the colors of the rainbow. So I think that when you have Nick giving attention to a group of women who are validation starved, not just talking about Olandria here, but like just in general, you got him giving attention towards a demographic of women who desperately want white male validation. He's going to be put on a very high pedestal. But the reason I think that Nick is actually breadcrumbing Olandria is because, first of all, she was his fourth choice. So, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it's like, yeah, she was literally his fourth choice. Because it's like, if he wanted to, he would. They talk all this shit on TikTok. If he wanted to, he would. I need a man to come walk up to me. Okay, so he never pulled her for a chat. He never expressed interest before because he was too busy living it up with his other hoes. And by the way, I like Bella. I actually have a lot of respect for Bella because Bella didn't fall for the bullshit. Sierra fell for the bullshit. Sierra had lower self-esteem than Bella. Bella actually had more standards. But I didn't like how Nick treated Bella. That was the beginning of me not liking Nick. I didn't like how he treated her because she had some standards. And then when she basically didn't want to like get super physical and super sexual, Nick is the type of guy where he goes after women who give him sexual favors. That's how he came off on the show. He came off like, if she's not going to be making out with me, you know, like giving me sexual attention, then I'm not interested. And Bella could feel that. And so Bella had a moment of weakness in the beginning where she kind of like still talked to him because I feel like maybe she was afraid of going home or like she felt kind of vulnerable. And so I feel like Nick kind of played into that. And then as soon as a new girl walks in, Sierra, then he's chasing her tail as well. And then Sierra, she was doing the same thing. Sierra, she talked about how she had the highest body count in the house. I don't think a lot of people caught that. She actually talked about it and how like, you know, I have the most sexual experience, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, Sierra, you're more than just your vagina. So why are you trying to tie down Nick using your vagina? You're trying to mark your territory using your vagina, and it still didn't even work. Because literally within 24 hours of you being gone, this guy goes and says, well, Olandria, I always wanted to get to know you. Okay, so then where was that energy before, Nick? So yeah, I'm not enamored by a white skin tone and a nice smile. A says, so glad Jaden humbled him. I love Jaden. Yeah, Jaden knows her worth more than some of the other girls. She didn't fall for Nick's breadcrumbs. She's the only woman in that house who didn't fall for the bullshit because she knew, like, wait a minute, he's probably just trying to have options. I don't want to be treated as like just an option. And obviously, I'm not trying to say that Austin is any better because he is also dusty as fuck. Isn't he a pool boy? Like, what? Well, I guess they're influencers now. And that's another thing. People are literally acting like Nick Olandria is going to stay together for the next 25 years and have babies and stuff. And it's like, okay, I just saw today on social media that Olandria and Nick, she was like, oh yeah, I might take him to my HBCU or my homecoming or whatever. She was talking about that. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So you're telling me you can make plans with this man. You can talk about homecomings. You can talk about traveling together. You guys can talk about damn near every other topic except for closing it off. Meanwhile, when Nick was with Sierra, he had no problem closing that shit off immediately. So that's how I know that Nick is a lust-driven man because he's closing it off because Sierra gives him more sexual attention. So he just follows the sexual attention. He seems to follow the fame and popularity. Another thing I didn't like about Nick, I felt like he was a bitch because I didn't like how two-faced he was. Nobody else noticed that. I'm like, wait a minute, Nick, are you friends with Huda or not? Because remember when Huda was like getting ganged up on, everybody hated her. Then Nick was actually like, hey, I feel like the whole house is against Huda. And so he was kind of standing up for her. So I was like, oh, that's really nice of him. Like, that's cool. I guess he's friends with Huda. But then seconds later, Nick walks up to Iris and starts talking shit about Huda to Iris. And then he says, "Oh yeah, I think Huda had cameras in your rooms." So he's trying to make it like Huda's this crazy ass bitch. And it's like, Nick, you were just defending Huda. Which one is it? Are you her friend or not? Nick, you're just trying to be funny. Like he's one of those guys in high school. You know the class clown in high school who just wants to be popular. Whoever's the coolest, that's who he hangs out with. So you don't know what side of him you're gonna get. He's a flip flopper. One West Princess says exactly. Nick literally had sex with Sierra, but everybody was giving Taylor shit about Olandria. But Nick can just skate. He can skate by. Exactly. I'm like, Nick and Taylor are like the same person. If anything, Nick is way worse. Because at least Taylor, I didn't see Taylor go and like say he was friends with one person and then like talk shit about that same person. I didn't see him doing that. Like with Nick, you can tell that he definitely views women as objects. He definitely does not view women as humans because in the case of Huda, I actually thought that they had a genuine friendship, but with the way he completely disrespected her after lying to her, that's like the third or fourth woman within a couple of weeks that he screwed over emotionally. He screwed over Bella emotionally with his hot and cold behavior. He screwed over Sierra emotionally with his hot and cold behavior. He screwed over Huda even in terms of friendship with his hot and cold behavior. And so Olandria, what do you think he's going to do with her? I think Nick is just enjoying the fame. Brittany Burnham says Olandria is beautiful. A lot of beautiful women don't get approached, but they get stares. Often end up with men not on their level. A lot of beautiful women struggle in dating, sadly. I agree. And honestly, I think that Olandria was the one person. If I had to name one person that shouldn't have been on that show, I think it would be Olandria. Just being completely honest. Just because she tries to carry herself with more class. Like I can tell she tried to be more classy. That's why I said she was my favorite for about the first 26 episodes or so. I'm glad I didn't record my members video before I finished watching the show. Brittany says, Love Island, LOL, is ratchet, period. Yeah, this is my first time ever watching it. You guys wanted me to watch it. My friends in real life were like watching it and stuff. The bougie hippie chick. Hey, I remember you. She says, yes, Nick was just as bad as Taylor. He definitely is trying to taste the rainbow. But my sister's a nurse, and they make a lot of money. Not millions, but they are far from broke. Yeah, I don't think they're broke. I just feel like Nick is probably not the hypergamous king that a lot of women are talking about on YouTube. You know, a lot of women, they use phrases like millionaire and billionaire, and they talk about this country club lifestyle, and I feel like Nick is nowhere near that. I think he's an average Joe and people are letting it slide because he's white. Love for F says, I'm darker and dating is extremely easy for me here in LA. I'm so glad we have somebody saying that because I want to talk about that too. I saw some bullshit on TikTok where the new Kevin Samuels, the new Black Love dating coach, Anwar, was talking about how if you're dark skinned, you're basically fucked in LA, Houston, Atlanta. I can't remember the cities, but I wrote it on my phone. But yeah, he was talking about how you're basically going to be screwed over. And if it lets me share my screen, I'll do it. Like I'll play that later after I'm done talking my shit about Love Island. Did any of you guys go to the watch parties, by the way? So I saw a clip where Jeremiah had like a meet and greet. I'm like, these people are doing meet and greet. I mean, don't get me wrong. Well, actually, I shouldn't be talking my shit. I'm literally, actually, no, let me not dox myself. Let me not dox anything. But yeah, I shouldn't be talking my shit because I'm totally a fan myself of Love Island people. Not any of the men, though, the women. Hitsugaya Torisho. Oh my God, I just butchered that. HT says, Clark, Amaya, and Shelley all outshined Olandria, period. I agree. I agree. I think that Clark, Amaya, and Shelley all have a better flirting style than Olandria. But again, I understand why Olandria is the way she is. She said she's from the South. She acts like she could have been socialized Christian, but I feel like Bella and Olandria are similar in their flirting styles, except Bella has I would say Bella kind of like she dropped her boundaries a little bit because she felt vulnerable. But I liked Bella though because she took accountability afterwards. Olandria, I didn't see that from Olandria. I feel like Olandria was easily swayed by Shelley. She ended up being the sidekick. Anyway, I don't want to give away what we talk about in the members page. But yeah, I feel like Shelley, Amaya, and Clark, they definitely had different flirting styles. So Clark, Clark is she's very nurturing. She's very emotionally open. She's a lover girl. You can tell that Clark definitely has lover girl vibes. Amaya, she's like a flirty girl. She gives like flirty vibes, like bubbly, like a cheerleader. Like that's kind of her flirting style. And then Shelly, her flirting style, she gives like a playful, almost like a player vibe, kind of like Ace. I felt like Shelly and Ace are two sides of the same coin. Oh my God, don't even get me started on that bullshit. I'm like, okay, so you have smoke for Clark, you have smoke for all the other people, and you have no smoke for Ace. But then again, I will say I haven't really searched people. It's just like whatever pops up on my algorithms. That's all I will watch. But Ace is extremely dusty. He's extremely dusty. So I don't see why people would think that like it's good for Shelly to be with Ace. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Ace was like a true playa. Like he was giving pimp vibes. Okay, actually I shouldn't say pimp vibes, but he was like yeah, he definitely gave like young college age. Like when you're a freshman in college, there will be like that upperclassman that wants to sleep with all the girls. So Ace, he kind of gave that. But I will say with Ace, I have a little bit more like I kind of understand Ace a little bit more because it's like, okay, at least he wasn't like Nick where he completely lies. Ace was like, "Look, don't touch me, don't talk to me, don't call me babe, don't do this, don't do that. I'm still exploring." And Ace, he'd never even apologized for the kiss, by the way. People are overlooking that. He never apologized for the kiss. He literally gaslit Shelly to her face, disrespected Shelly to her face, never asked Shelly to close off, didn't give a fuck about Shelly in front of her face. I don't see anybody calling that out. Brittany Burnham says, I don't know. I think the girls girl thing is fake. I agree. I think it is fake. They're not being girls girl. So it's like, okay, nobody's being a girls girl. So why are we bringing up who's being a girls girl or not? Have you ever noticed a lot of women that view you as sexual competition? They always want to accuse you of being catty. Like a lot of people do that with the exotical space. Like, oh, the Exoticals United is so catty. It's like, okay, this is just a YouTube channel. I didn't come on here to prove how much of a girl's girl I am. That's why I say that I'm actually not a true feminist. I'm feminist adjacent. I think that I lean feminist, but I'm not technically a true feminist because a lot of people say, "Oh, a real feminist just supports all women." Okay, well, bitch, I don't support all women. I support whoever supports me. But this girl says, girls use that only to keep other girls from their man. This was not Friends Island. They were supposed to explore. No one is friend. I agree. And that's why I got annoyed with Shelly. Because I'm like, okay, wait a minute, Shelly. The only reason you're mad at Huda is because the same guys that you were talking to, I almost said the N word. The same ninjas that you were talking to are the same ninjas that Huda was talking to. That's why you're upset specifically with Huda because Huda and Ace were kissing or whatever. Some people are actually saying that I guess she put her crotch on his face, and that it was edited out. So I don't know if that's true. I just saw it on a comment section somewhere. People were like, "Is that true? Like, did she really put her crotch on his face?" So I don't know if somebody said that in an interview or what. But it's like, okay, you have no smoke for Ace. If that's true, that's even worse on account of both of them. So it's like my thing is if Shelly would have just been mad at both of them, then I would have had more respect. Like, okay, Shelly stands 10 toes down. But it's like she only had smoke for the woman and she allowed Ace to sit there and play in her face and be disrespectful. And this guy didn't even ask her to go exclusive until after he had no more options. And like he basically knew he might get left, they might get kicked off the show. But yeah, she said girls use that only to keep other girls from their man. This was not Friends Island. They were supposed to explore. No one is friends. And then my thing too is using that to keep other girls from their man. So I saw during the show where the girls were talking about how, oh, it's just a challenge. It's not a big deal. But then I noticed it switched as time went on. And so it's like in the case of Shelly, I think Shelly's emotional weakness was she is not a good communicator at all. She's not good at communicating her hurt. That's a cultural issue that I see in the Black community a lot. I noticed that with Shelly. I noticed it with Olandria. I noticed Taylor had more of a passiveness where he didn't communicate his emotions at all, almost like this bitch behavior. But yeah, And then when they said they were supposed to explore, no one is friends. Exactly. So then why is Huda suddenly not allowed to explore? Even with Jeremiah, I noticed it was like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. And I am not saying, oh my God, they should be together or whatever. But it's like, okay, you guys, stop being fake, stop lying. You don't like Jeremiah and Huda. So it's like if you could have voted people off, actually, I think they had a chance to vote Huda off and then they didn't vote her off. That actually did piss me off when they saved Huda and then she still went back and talked to Jeremiah. I did get pissed off on that scene. But it's like, okay, so which one is it? Do you want Huda to explore or not? Because Huda was exploring the same guys that Shelly was exploring. And I noticed that Shelly specifically she had more smoke for Huda. And then at the same time, they're like, oh, but we want you to be a girl's girl, Huda. And it's like, they need to just admit that they lied. They're not friends. It's like, if you want to be, and then Shelly was talking all this shit in the confessional. She had all the energy in the confessional. Lots of people have stuff to say behind closed doors when they think you're not listening. And it got so bad after the show, the bullying was so bad on Shelly to where even Huda came out and said, "Hey guys, me and Shelly are, we're not the coolest. We're not very close, but you guys still shouldn't bully her." That's how pissed off America was. And even the rest of America noticed the fake ass bullshit. Um, Love for F says soda is so addicting though. Ugh. I know that's why I can't drink the mocktails. And plus, it's like an additional 500 calories. It's carbonated. My stomach's gonna get bloated. Sometimes I wear kind of tighter clothing when I'm going out, so I don't want to have like this big bubbly stomach, and then it's like I have gas and shit. Like that's not cute. Jupiter says, "Hello, my Scorpio sister. I love your voice." I'm not telling you guys what my sign is. Sorry, I can't confirm. Can't confirm or deny. Brittany says Taylor is more affectionate with the men than the women. Yeah, I notice a lot of the men are like pick me's for men. So you know how they have the phrase girls girl? A lot of the men are like guys guys. So I noticed that with Jeremiah. Notice how Jeremiah, he literally was following whatever the other guys were doing. And then he even admitted, he was like, oh, losing Huda is one thing, but losing you guys, that's another thing. It's like, okay, Jeremiah, it's called Love Island. So you're admitting that you value male friendships more than you value finding the love of your life. Okay. So just admit that you just want to be with the bros or whatever. It's like, yeah, I noticed a lot of them are like that. I definitely noticed that. One West Princess says, I said to my best friend, I believe Alandria must have recently had a glow up. Yes, I 100% agree. I feel like Alandria is going through a transition period where she is trying to transition from monocultural to multicultural. And I think that Olandria, she was trying her best in the beginning to not give off this ratchet black woman type of behavior. I feel like that's not who she wants to be. So I can definitely tell that she's trying to glow up. I can tell that Olandria wants to social climb, for lack of better words. I can tell that that's a priority for her, more so more than like Shelly or like the other girls. Olandria comes off as more mature. I'm not sure how old everybody is, but yeah, Olandria definitely gives I want a social climb. But yeah, West Princess says, I believe Olandria must have recently had a glow up because the way she let Taylor play in her face, you can tell she's not used to getting attention. So she accepted whatever. I agree. I think that she's probably maybe not used to being in the spotlight, or like I don't know where she lives. I know she was from Alabama and they said she was like a saleswoman, like an elevator saleswoman or something. I don't remember what they said she was selling. But it's like, yeah, I think that she was trying to transition and didn't know how, and then she ended up allowing Shelly to pull her back down. I just feel like Shelly and Olandria are not a match in terms of maturity. I think Olandria is just so much more mature. I think Olandria has more she just comes off as kind of almost like more confident. Because okay, let's pretend that the situation was reversed. Let's pretend that Olandria was in Shelly's shoes, and let's pretend that Ace, basically cheated on Olandria. Do you think Olandria would have sat there and let Ace play in her face like that? Like to the point where he's literally grabbing somebody else's ass. Do you think that Olandria would have just sat there and let him do that, like how Shelly did? And then still go back to him afterward. No, I feel like Olandria, she tries to have more of a sense of dignity, and I feel like Shelly is more willing to sacrifice her dignity so she can have either a relationship with a man or so she can like get revenge on someone, like in the case of Huda. Bella says it's the loyalty being an anvil around her. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I feel like Olandria is loyal to a fault. And I talked about this in the members page. Ride or die culture has definitely been a part of Olandria's psyche. And I understand that's actually a good quality. It's good to be a loyal friend. It's good to be loyal to the people who are loyal to you, though. Because what pissed me off is Olandria went through all this drama with Huda. Olandria literally, Huda was crying. Olandria and Huda were actually very good friends. Olandria, like I said, she was more multicultural than like Shelly. Olandria, I saw her talking to everybody. She was getting along with Huda. She talked to all the other girls. And then when Shelly gets mad at Huda, then Olandria decides, okay, fine, I'm mad at Huda too because, you know, Shelly is my friend and like Shelly's my. In fact, Olandria even said that. She said that on the confessional. She was like, well, you know, Shelly's my boo. So, you know, that's my girl. And basically, I don't want my friend Shelly to feel like betrayed or alone or hurt. So then Olandria turns on Huda. And Huda was actually crying at the table. I don't remember if you guys saw that scene. Huda was crying at the table, and Huda was asking for advice from Olandria because Huda knows that Olandria is close with everybody, including Shelly. And then Olandria was like, yeah, I think what you did was a little bit much. So that kind of annoyed me because that was out of character. Well, I mean, was it out of character? But I felt like that's out of character for Olandria. She never gave mean girl up until that point. She always gave very classy, unbothered. And I was like, wait a minute, why is she suddenly turning into almost like this mean girl bully? Shelly's not even there. Shelly didn't tell you to say that, Olandria. There's a chance of her and Shelly still reconciling. So why are you jumping in as Shelly's bulldog? You know, that's what Olandria was doing. And again, I get it. She's protective. She has, I mean, I have very similar qualities where it's like you want to be loyal, you want to protect someone. Maybe Shelly's a bit younger than her or something. So she feels like that's my little sister. I don't want anybody messing with my sister. I get it. But you didn't allow the whole situation to play out. So she did this thing where she made assumptions. I think that her weakness is she makes assumptions. She made assumptions about Taylor. She made the assumption that Shelly and Huda would continue beefing. And then I got hella pissed off because then Shelly and Huda talked it out. And I know they're beefing again now, but it's like Shelly and Huda ended up talking it out and still being cool on the show. So then I was thinking, oh, Landra, you're stupid now because now you just randomly started like you basically kind of broke off your friendship a little bit. You distanced yourself from Huda because you assumed that Shelly was going to like permanently beef with Huda. And then Shelly and Huda ended up hugging it out. But I know Huda's probably pissed now after seeing what Shelly said on the confessional because that was some fake ass shit. So Illuminati, by the way, if you can hear me like breathing hard in the mic, I'm sorry. So Illuminati, I don't know if I'm saying that right. No, I'm saying it wrong. Solumomti says it's all about winning the money. That's it. I agree. That's why it's like with Shelly and Ace, I feel like they could have been like a good like scam. Okay, now I'm breathing hella hard in the mic. But I feel like Shelly and Ace, they could have just planned it out like, hey, look, let's just scam. Okay, let's pretend that we like really like each other and then let's just win the show and then, you know, let's just take the money and go. It's like that would have been more believable than what they tried to do. Jupiter Gone Wild says, I love being around multicultural people. They don't give me dirty looks and harsh judgment for listening to grunge music and dressing in an alternative Billie Eilish manner. Yeah, I this channel does promote multiculturalism. I just want to say this channel, it is kind of based off my personal experience. So it's like I am not monocultural. So I can only speak from more of a multicultural perspective. I think being monocultural helps if you want to stay in a monocultural environment, but a lot of people don't. So yeah, I agree that being multicultural is definitely more fun. Pink Thing says Amaya and Huda are the only real ones. The rest of the cast are so fake. Yeah. Yeah, some people are probably gonna get mad at me. I love Amaya. I do love Huda. I love Hurricane Huda. I just have to be honest. Because the thing that I liked about Huda, I'm not looking for women to be perfect. I don't like when people try to put these standards on women where it's like she needs to have a perfect emotional state at all times. No, every woman has toxic traits. Every woman on that show had toxic traits. Even Amaya. But it's like I don't so much judge that. What I care about is how does she act after she makes a mistake? So what I like about Huda is after she makes a mistake, she will come and try to fix it. Huda was over here having a whole psychological breakdown. She's literally in tears over her friendship with Shelly. She immediately tries to go fix it with Shelly. Shelly is one of those people who doesn't know how to express um, emotions other than anger. She's not as good at expressing hurt, sadness, feeling betrayed. She tends to cope by using anger and resorting to insults with women only, though. She doesn't keep the same energy with men. She forgives men for whatever they do. That's why she's still with Ace to this day, if I'm not mistaken. Amari says, I wish the best for Olandria. Jupiter Gone Wild. I haven't seen this show. I've been watching The Black Mirror. I haven't seen The Black Mirror. I've heard about it. I'm just not that much of a TV person. S says, Jeremiah totally love bomb. Yes, 100% agree. Totally love bomb Huda and pulled back when he found out she's a mom. Yeah, that was hilarious. And then he tried to gaslight her, and then he tried to pick a fight with her. And also, Jeremiah was a liar because, okay, first of all, I already knew Jeremiah was dusty as soon as he walked in. But it's like, Jeremiah was a liar because he said, my type is foreign women. Huda is from North Carolina. She's American. I mean, I know that she's like Iraqi or whatever, but it's like she's American. So what do you mean foreign? That's a vague term that you're trying to use so that you don't have to explain what your type is. And Jeremiah, you don't need to explain yourself. That's what I didn't like about Jeremiah too. It's like, why do you have to explain yourself to all these men all the time? Why are you doing that? You're being a people pleaser. You're following whatever the guys are doing, whatever the bros are doing. So if they're talking about types, now you're talking about type. No, keep that shit to yourself. You should have just been silent, Jeremiah, and just, played it cool with Huda, and then you guys could have won the money. But yeah, he definitely struggles with narcissism. I think he struggles with narcissism in relationships, and I think Huda obviously struggles with codependency. You can tell based on her behavior, based on her past story. But yeah, Jeremiah is dusty. He doesn't even have a place to live, for God's sakes. A lot of people conveniently left that out. I'm like, did they not hear him say that he literally has like 4 roommates and now he's moving down to like 3 roommates? He was excited to only have a couple roommates. It's like this guy has nowhere to live. And then Huda's like, wait a minute, what? 2,000 a month? That's how much I pay for my place. Like I have a whole other bedroom. I have a 2-bedroom. So yeah, it's giving immature. I think yeah, he struggles with narcissism, but at the same time, I feel like Love Island. This is my first time watching it, so I'm not sure what the rules are of the show because it's like, okay, did they want people to explore and talk to more people? Because if so, then that means it shouldn't be called Love Island. It should be called Hoe Island or Player Island. Because it's like then people got mad at Jeremiah and Huda. This is before it turned toxic. They were still getting mad at them just for talking to each other. So you saw Ace actually. A lot of people didn't catch this. Ace and well, I just remember Ace specifically complaining about how they didn't get to talk to Huda. And it's like, okay, so this is all about jealousy and sexual competition then. You're mad because you didn't get to talk to Huda. And then nobody caught it when Shelly said, I didn't get to kiss Jeremiah or I didn't touch Jeremiah. Nobody touched Jeremiah when he was here out of respect for you. I was shocked when she said that. I was like, you just exposed yourself so bad. You literally just admitted that you basically like wanted to talk to Jeremiah this whole time, but like you didn't because you were trying to be a girl's girl. And then it backfired on you because you didn't get the same energy from Huda. So it was technically a form of manipulation. But deep down inside, you desired the same man that Huda was getting attention from for the 3rd time. So it's Jeremiah, it's Chris, and it's Ace. So it's like, Shelly, you're exposing your psychology so bad right now. Sienna says, nah, for real. Austin is, oh my God, he's a fucking serial cheater, first of all. I'm like, why is nobody noticing how bad Austin is? Because I saw people saying, like, oh, Shelly, she should go with Austin. I'm like, why are you guys putting him on a pedestal because he's white? This guy is literally, he admitted to being a serial cheater. He had like the highest body count or one of the highest body count. I actually think that Austin works in corn. And that's just my theory. But it's like, okay, this guy, yes, he's more emotionally intelligent, but it's like he's extremely dusty. He's a pool boy. Brittany says, if anything, the exposure for Alandria can be used to her advantage. And I just think this will just open her options. Yeah, I think all of these people on the show are going to get fame and, and that's good. Deke says, OMG EU going live. It's a Christmas miracle. Hey, y'all. Hey, Pretty Girl Club. And by the way, if you guys see any bullshit in the comments, let me know. One West Princess says Nick and Olandria are so fake. They told Sierra there was no chemistry between them after kiss. Yeah, yeah, that's another thing. That was another lie. That was a lie. And saying that there's no chemistry, the reason that Olandria felt that there was no chemistry is due to monoculturalism. Anybody who's grown up around like white people, for example, or guys like Nick, I won't say white people, I'll just say guys like Nick. Anyone who's grown up around guys like Nick would have been able to pick up the flirting signals from the beginning. Notice how Bella, she's not white. She picked up on Nick's flirting signals. Sierra, she's not white. She picked up on Nick's flirting signals. Like everybody else can pick up on Nick's flirting signals except Olandria. It took her a month or however long, till the end of the show. She had to get eliminated, basically. And then Nick had to say, "Hey, I want to get to know you," or whatever. And by the way, the only reason Nick said that was because he got eliminated. And then she drove up in the car and she's like, "Hey, hurry up, get in." So Nick thought he was going home. So Nick would have went home without having talked to Olandria. Nick just wanted to get his ass back in that house. So that's why he was open to it because there was a date set up for them. Nick did not think of that on his own. So I feel like people are kind of glorifying and romanticizing Nick. Um, but one West Princess says Nick and Olandria are so fake they told Sierra there was no chemistry between them after kissing. And Olandria says she immediately felt bad after they kissed. They're both full of shit. Yeah, girls girl where? I thought that you were cool with Sierra, Olandria. How would you have felt, Olandria, if Sierra would have kissed Taylor? So again, it's this it's this bullying that we see. I do think that part of it is a black cultural phenomenon because Shelley and Olandria were the only ones who were trying to hold everybody else to this girls girl shit, and they themselves weren't upholding it. Shelley got pissed. She was just mad because Chris rejected her basically so that he could talk to Huda. And then even Chris could see through the bullshit. Hold on, let me drink some water. Okay. Yeah, so they were full of shit. Jupiter Gone Wild says, lately I've been binge watching The Black Mirror and Full House. Oh, I remember Full House. Calista Martin says, hey, so happy. Hey, pretty girl. Solu Mom T says, right after Huda told him she a mother. Yeah, that's when he was like, wait, what? Sihana says, y'all heard that Nick said he lasted for 30 seconds with his first time with Sierra. Yep, I remember him saying that. And that's another thing. It's like for people who value dick so much, you're telling me that you're gonna be with a minute man? A says Nick is the biggest chameleon and con artist of the season. 100% agree. And people like him still. HT says Nick is a grifter. That's 100% what he is. He's using swirlers to get more fame and money. That's exactly what he's doing. Nick, first of all, people like Nick and Jeremiah, both of them are models. Okay? So they both, well, I don't know if Nick lives in LA, but I know Jeremiah moved to LA. He's with, I think it's LA Models or something. So it's like, okay, he's trying to be in the actual industry. Like these guys are trying to be like in Hollywood. They're trying to be the next, I don't know, Tyson Beckford or something. They're trying to be supermodels and actors and shit. So the fact that people are projecting all of this romanticism onto them, it's limerence. Okay, it's limerence. Bella Rain says, I hated all of the games. I agree. Like, if you're going to do the challenges, I would always kind of fast forward or do like 2 times speed on the challenges because I'm like, okay, they should have at least had them win prizes or you win a date or like, it's just like they want to play into femcel women's sexual fantasies. That's why they did that. That's how I felt. I felt like, okay, you're trying to objectify both the women and the men, and you're having them do these pointless challenges where they're doing very sexual stuff, like having white liquid, like going on, like the cow challenge or whatever, like the milk challenge. It's like, okay, you're purposely trying to do stuff like this because you want to play into people's like fantasies or whatever. Yeah, I just felt like that was lame. Like you could have just left that out. Tiny Tony says, I personally do not find Olandra attractive, but Shelley more attractive. It is funny when they come after Clark's facial features. Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that they were like ranking them and putting them on a hierarchy, but I'm not surprised. Brittany says, I do wish Shelley and Olandra would open up on social media more. They need to use this exposure to their advantage. If her and Nick don't work out, she needs to build her platform in the meantime. Yeah, I haven't been analyzing their content creation journey. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, do any of you guys watch the previous Love Islands? Like, are those people still famous, or like what happened with all those people? Clista says, "Hi EU, so happy to hear you." Yes. Thank you for joining the live stream. Amari says, "Did you see that there was a 2-hour long movie made about Nicolandra?" No, that sounds interesting though. Like, what do you mean a 2-hour long movie? Like someone made an actual movie with actors, or they just did like a montage of them together? Because that's not a romantic movie. May that type of love never find me. I don't want a guy to have to mess around with every non-black. This is the main trauma they talk about from black men. They say, "Oh, a lot of black men, they will mess around with all the Latinas and white women and whatever, and then like once they're down and out, kind of like Nick, he got eliminated. Then once they're down and out, they look to the black woman to build them up." Okay, just like Nick. He successfully convinced Olandria to come back in the house with him under false pretenses, really. And I feel like Nick, he's just trying to uphold his end of the deal because he doesn't want to look like an a-hole in front of America, especially not right now. I don't know if they're going to have a reunion, but yeah. A says, "Yes, I did the watch parties. They were so cute." It should be called Dusty Lust Island. Yeah, it should be called Lust Island. That's definitely what Nick was doing. Brittany says, "Yes, I went to a watch party at a bar. So many teens. I did not understand. Where are the parents?" Yeah, like are they're letting teens into bars? Solumati says, "Ace gives cult leader." Ace gives yeah, he gives intimidator. I feel like that's what both Ace and Shelly give. Because notice how Shelly, she tried to go out of her way to intimidate Huda. You won't be able to intimidate Huda for that long. Huda is one of those people where it's like you might be able to screw her over once or twice, but she still has boundaries at the end of the day. Brittany says Shelly is a good match for a Leo. The way she told him she will talk to him later. Her background, she is a player and she has options. Yeah, she comes off as a player. I loved that, by the way. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I see someone sent me a super chat. I can't see what it says. Oh, it says the Dark Lake $10 super sticker. Thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, I feel like Shelly and Ace are two sides of the same coin. So to see Ace trying to play everybody, and then, I enjoyed seeing Shelly keeping the same energy with him. But then Shelly, she still settled for him in the end. So it's like, okay, you didn't really do it right. Like I wouldn't have done that, but okay. But to be fair, Ace definitely has money. Okay. I know Ace is a dancer. I don't know what kind of stuff he does. I mean, he's what, 22 or 23? Um, yeah, I don't consider him my ideal, but okay. Divine Goddess says, "I don't think exoticals can get away with being boring. We can't even get away with not smiling or saying hello. Our personalities are always being policed." Yeah, a lot of people, they're obsessed with our looks, they're obsessed with our personalities, they're memorizing our skin complexions, they're memorizing where the exotical channels are. They're trying to find all the exoticals and figure out who all of us are. So it's like, clearly, we are also the standard of personalities as well. Because if people say, "Oh, well, you don't have a personality, you're boring," what they're saying is apparently you don't fit the stereotype of the type of personality that you should have as a pretty girl. And so therefore, you're just boring. Yamina says, "Thanks again, EU. We'll be listening. Love hearing feedback on YouTube from people who watch the show. I do not really find reality TV interesting directly." Yeah, for some reason, I've watched kind of the love shows. So I have watched Love is Blind. I watched this. Actually, that's pretty much all I watched in the past year. I was so annoyed he didn't close off with Shelly. I was too. And I'm like, that's disrespectful as fuck. So not only are you going to bounce another woman's ass on you, but you're going to actively not close off with Shelly, even when there are no other people coming into the house anymore. So it's like, there are no other new options coming in. It's like, you could have just closed off. And then what pissed me off was he didn't ask her until the freaking, the hideaway or whatever they were doing. And it's like, Ace, you had so much creative energy for other people. You had so much to say about everybody else's relationship. You have so much shit to talk about everybody else. But suddenly, when it came to Shelly, you can't ask her to be exclusive. You're dragging your feet, and then you randomly he's one of those guys that will spontaneously do shit because other people expect it of him. Like, let's be honest, everybody expected them to come out of the hideaway closed off. They expected them to come out of there being closed off. That's why during the Stand on Business challenge, people were like, "Why haven't you closed off with Shelly?" That was like the main thing that they were asking Ace. Everybody else clocked it. So I feel like Ace, he's one of those people that will like fuck up all the way until the last minute when he's about to blow everything up, and then he tries to hurry up and save it. Like how he did in the hideaway when Shelly was in the bathroom, then he tries to run out and draw a heart in the sand, like, "Oh, will you close off with me?" Like, that was extremely low effort. He gives very bare minimum low effort. Yeah. Soul Minotti says Ace liked Huda. I agree. That's why he got mad at Jeremiah. He was a hater on Jeremiah because, and he mentioned Huda. Similar to how Shelly was hating on Huda and also mentioned Jeremiah. A says weaponizing Girl Island. That's exactly what it is. It's like a form of weaponizing feminism. Brittany says Amaya did a little too much to me. If a man says don't touch me or kiss me, I mean, it makes sense. Walk away. Stop all that crying. You should not be crying over a man you don't know. So I don't think that Amaya was crying over a man she doesn't know. This is an exotical channel, by the way, so I'm going to be supportive of Amaya, especially. Amaya was crying because she felt deceived and betrayed, similar to why Huda was crying. So when you're multiracial or multicultural, you're not socialized like how they are in the monocultural black settings where it's this talking point of why are you crying? You know, it's your light skin tears or you're a baby, you're oversensitive. People who are not ashamed of showing their emotions, like Huda, Amaya, they express their femininity, they express their emotions in a way that's different. So I don't like when people try to shame someone. And I'm not saying this person is trying to shame someone, but it's like I don't like when people try to put rules on how to express your emotions. I don't see people putting rules on how unambiguous women can cuss people out and how they can yell during stand on business challenges. So it's like, are we going to keep the same energy with everyone or is it only against like Amaya? So Monty said, no, she didn't. Law Goldie says, big ups, exoticals. Bella Rain says, man, Shelly being mad at Huda was bogus. They do all the weird games. Solmanati says, and look at Olandria taking her friends men, but Huda isn't a girl's girl. Yeah, that was hypocritical. To be fair, Shelly said she never kissed Jeremiah. Yeah, and Shelly said that she only did that because she expected Huda to not kiss the same men that she was like with, but she never communicated that with Huda. She never communicated that throughout the season. So that's where I got upset with Shelly because I'm like, wait a minute, Shelly, you can't put all these random rules. This is what I don't like is when people change the rules as they go, but then they don't tell you that they changed the rules and then they just get pissed off at you. It's like, okay, if you're truly friends, Huda and Shelly, if you guys are truly friends, you should have been able to communicate. And I actually saw Huda trying to communicate with Shelly during the challenge. And as soon as Shelly gave Huda a look, Huda immediately was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble, basically. But I noticed it's not the same vibe. Shelly, she doesn't want to understand other people, but she wants others to understand her, which I didn't like, except for Ace. She's hella understanding to men she's attracted to. She can understand their perspective. She suddenly becomes the most analytical psychology genius when it comes to people like Ace. But then when it comes to her fellow quote unquote girls, then she's, it's a misunderstanding. I just think Shelly is very monocultural and I just think she favors blackness or black people, which is fine. But it's like, just stand 10 toes down on it then. Don't talk all this shit in the confessional and then you have nothing to say to Huda's face. And I mean, I would feel betrayed if I was in Huda's shoes. If somebody said they were my friend and then they try to hold me to it, like being a girl's girl, but then I come out of the show and I see them talking shit in the confessional about me, oh, I'd be pissed off too. Huda actually did well by saying that they should stop bullying Shelly. I wouldn't have done that. I would have came on and joined in. I would have been like, yeah, you thought you could bully me on the show? Oh, well, karma's a bitch. Shelly is very avoidant. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. She's very avoidant, especially with the Huda situation. I agree. And then when she had a chance to explain why she was mad, she didn't take the opportunity. So it's like, okay, so then people are going to take it as you don't have a reason to be mad. And that's exactly what happened. If you go on Reddit, you can see them calling Shelly out for that. Brittany Burnham says, I think she was upset that Huda sat on Ace's face. The cast said Huda did that too. So why is there no smoke for Ace? Brittany, are you a part of the exotical space, by the way? Because, you're doing a lot of defending. So I just want to make sure that nobody's coming on here trying to sway whether it's my opinion or the opinions of the other exoticals. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I'm just not sure because I haven't live streamed in a long time and I've never really seen your name in my comment section. She said they should have sent Huda home. Exactly. If they don't like Huda, they should have just sent her home. Created in His Image says, I think the Black community doesn't like average looking people. Like they don't create space for average looking women. And I think they project their experiences with attractive women. Yes, a lot of people, they live vicariously through the pretty girls. A says, can we please discuss, and I got so pissed off at Andrina. I wanted to like her. It's like, Andrina, I wanted to like you, but you're a fake ass bitch because when Huda came to you guys crying, Andrina, you just got in the house. You were trying to act hella nice to everybody. And I was like, okay, yeah, I like her. Like, she's really cool. Huda was literally crying, having a psychological breakdown. And you immediately get up from the bench and you immediately go talk shit to Huda's enemies. And you just tell all of her business. She was just crying and saying how bad she felt and everything. You immediately get up. So you try to pretend like you're friends with Huda, then you get up and you go tell all her business to her enemies seconds after that. So I thought that was fake as fuck. And then Andrina, she was like, after the show, Andrina was talking shit. She's like, oh, well, Huda lied about this and that. Andrina, where was that energy during the show when you were face to face with Huda? See, that's what I don't respect. I don't like it when people, when they try to do all this, they have all this smoke behind your back. They have all this smoke in the confessional. They have all this smoke when they're not in the house with you anymore. But when they're there, they try to pretend, oh, we're just girls, and we're just friends. Yeah, so that was fake as fuck, Andrina. This person says, to be fair, someone should not be sitting on someone's face. That's ghetto. Huda can't have the girl standard for everyone else and not give it in return. So I understood that. I understand that as well. But like I said, I still have my critiques for the other women as well. So, I mean, I said what I said. Bella says 500 calories for a drink is insane. Yeah. Soul Monty says Huda already said she didn't sit in nobody's face. Oh, okay. So she said she did not do that. Okay. Yeah, because I saw that was a rumor. I didn't know if that was real or what. Soul Monty says so dead that. Created in His Image says attractive women do get positive comments and strange attention with simultaneous hate. Yeah, it's like people admire you as the pretty woman and they also envy you as well. So it's like you get this double-sided experience. You kind of get like the dark side of pretty privilege. So you get the halo effect, but you also get kind of the negative stereotypes that people associate with being pretty. Let me go to the next one. This girl says, my friends don't have to give me a boundary. This person's being argumentative. Brittany, whatever. Oh, I think, wait, did I just hide her? What did I do? Whatever. But this person says they were picking on her. It turned into a, what, bad girls club? Yeah, I feel like that's what it was giving. Okay, let me catch up with the comments really quick. This person says, this cast lost the plot. Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, this is my first time watching it, so I'm not sure like what kind of vibes they were supposed to be giving. Like, were they actually supposed to find love, or was it supposed to be more like, you know, that show? I think there's a show called Temptation Island. Like, is that what it's supposed to be like? Soul Monty says Jeremiah deserved to be dogged out the way he did. He treated Huda like a prop and a chess piece he can use. I agree. Dusty Slayer. Dusty Slayer. Dusty Slayer says, hey everyone, was anyone else disgusted with Huda's aggression towards every black person? She latched onto the black people, but called them bitches for no reason. Yeah, I saw that she called, what's his name, a bitch? Jeremiah. And I do agree that some women who are women of color, I noticed, because like with Huda, I did see that she had a different accent with, I think it was Chris. So I notice that sometimes if they want to date the men of a particular culture, it's almost like they're trying to take on the idioms of that culture. They're trying to take on like the catchphrases or the accent of that culture. Similar to what I said about AD from Love is Blind. The difference between her with Clay versus her with the other guy, the white guy that she was talking to. This person says hood rat is very ghetto. Dusty Slayer says if any black woman had Huda's attitude, they would get dragged so badly. I agree. I think that a lot of black women's collective image is not the same as like Arab women. So yeah, I think that's one of the disadvantages of the collective image in the black community. Soul Monty says Huda got dragged very badly. So what do you mean? Yeah, I agree. Everybody got dragged on there. Everybody hated her for so long because they thought she was light skinned on X. Oh, okay. This person says she deserves it. Jeremiah deserves talking about. Shoulda, woulda, woulda. Treating her like a dog. Ace should have got checked. I agree. Like a lot of people were following Ace. I actually agreed with Austin on that, but I also think Austin was a bitch too because it's like, okay, Austin, you talked that shit and you said, people are just following you or whatever, but then you couldn't go back and forth with Ace in person. And also Ace, he did that same thing that Shelly did where it's like, okay, he just got angry and started raising his voice or whatever. It's almost like an intimidation tactic. And then Austin, he's basically shut the fuck up. But I thought that was a bitch move on Austin's part too, because I'm like, okay, Austin, if you said it, then you should have just explained it then. This person says she doesn't look like a light skinned black woman at all. Hood rat looks like the many loose and ran through Mena woman I know. I don't know what a Mena woman is. Mina? Mina women I know. Someone says they thought she was. It was weird when Huda tried to act like Nick and Olandria's baby. Everyone on that show is weird AF. I did not see that. Soft and Spicy says Huda and Olandria were still cool after the villa. They were hugging on TikTok. Exactly. That's why I felt like Olandria randomly being mean to Huda that one time. I was like, Olandria, you're not that type of girl. You actually are more of a girl's girl, or at least that's how you try to come off. So to randomly follow Shelly's anger, that's why I called it contagious anger in the members page, because I'm like, that's not going to really help you. Like, if you want to be a girl's girl, be a girl's girl, stand 10 toes down. If you want to be friends with Huda or whoever, then just be friends with them. This person says they were picking on her and turned it into a bad girls club. People don't talk about VH1 woman, though. I don't know who that is, but this person says we're all humans. We all make mistakes. Okay, I got to catch up with the comments, so I am going to have to skip some of them. This person says Amaya and Huda were my personal faves. Lex Doll United, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. This person says, I think we can get away with being boring if we're in an environment that is not judgmental. But if the people around you are criticizing every move, then you will be roasted for that. Yeah. But I want to also talk about this TikTok that I saw from Anwar. But let me get through some of these comments and then I will try to share my screen if it lets me. This person says there's face sitting on Love Island. No, they're saying that wasn't true, I guess. Because I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Sienna says Andrina got her karma when Brian called her boring. Oh yeah, that's right. I noticed that. This person says, by the way, if you can't get away with being boring, you will never get away with anything. Even if you're fun, you won't get away with it. If you're happy, sad, whatever, you won't get away with it. Yeah, I agree. JT Hellstrom says code switching always seemed awkward and obvious. Shout out to the male subscribers that are still left on this channel. Believe it or not, I actually still have a few male subscribers from back when I first started on YouTube. But Christiane says, so happy to finally catch a live. Yes, the Pretty Girl Club, we're talking our shit. Brown Exotical Glow says Jeremiah was very weak-minded and easy to manipulate. Yeah, I noticed like he manipulates women, but he's easily manipulated by other men. Dusty Slayer says Huda's main fan base are white women and stereotypical Latinas that like the feisty archetype. Her toxicity was seen as positive by non-black viewers. Brown Exotical Glow says some women only become girls when they feel like they can't compete. I need to pin this comment. Okay, it's not letting me pin the comment, but I agree. Some women only become girls because they view you as competition, and then that's why I said that with the whole Huda thing. Shelly viewed her as competition because they were talking to all the same guys. And also, I saw that they doxed Huda's baby daddy, and he looks like how Jeremiah looks. Christiane says, I honestly hate how people try to make it a whole you hate dark skin debacle when pointing out Shelly and Olandria's mean behavior. Yeah, because I think that all of them have pros and cons. Like all of the girls and all the guys have flaws. What do you think about Chris? So I didn't dislike Chris, but I also haven't seen the whole thing. I didn't see the one where they broke up because I just stopped watching it because I was behind, and then I found out Amaya won, so I was like, whatever. So with Chris, I noticed that generally speaking, with the men on the show, I tend to favor the men where I know less information about them. So that's pretty typical. Like sometimes the less you know about a guy, the more you're just like neutral about him. But then as you start to get to know more about the guy, then you're like, oh my God, no. Yeah, so with Chris, I didn't see anything super crazy with Chris, but then again, I didn't see um their breakup scene. I will say towards the end, he seemed a little bit avoidant. But that's all I really remember about Chris. This person says this show was an interesting social experiment. Shelley and Olandria had, oh yeah, they had no loyalty towards Amaya. Did they ever say that they dislike her? I don't remember them saying they disliked her, especially not Olandria. Olandria didn't come off that way. Um, yeah. Then it says Amaya had no friends of any gender. So I did notice it was either Olandria or Shelley that when Amaya got voted as the favorite, then she was like, "Oh, look at you, America's favorite." And I remember noticing that and thinking, "Wait a minute. I've never seen you really dote on Amaya. So why is it that now that she got voted the favorite by the fans, now you're like cool with her?" But then I was thinking in my head, "Oh, maybe they were friends. I don't know." This person says, I agree. The girls thing is a nonsense gameplay move by girls who can only survive in a clique. A crush is just a lack of information. Yep, you guys know what I always say. That's funny. I love Sunflower Sunny says, I never watched the show, but from all the feedbacks and discussions on TikTok and here, I feel like I watched it. It sounds like a social experiment. Very happy for Amaya when she won. She deserved it. She was the realest on the island, and she was so pooky. Amaya became more close to Hannah and Huda. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I want to get into this TikTok that I saw from Coach Anwar. So let me see if it will let me share my screen, and then I will see if it'll let me play it. Hold on. Okay, can you guys see the screen? It has like Anwar on here. Let me see if it'll let me play.
Oh, my name is Amar White. I'm a dating coach for Black and Brown women, and I've been a dating coach for 14 years. And I want
Can you guys hear it? Let me know if you guys can hear it, and then I'll play it. Okay, you guys said you can hear it. So let's look at this. It says top, mid, and bottom dating cities for Black women. So I was today years old when I found out that Anwar is apparently a Black love type of dating coach. So I thought the Black community was dusty. So which one is it? Are they dusty or not? Because he's literally talking about specifically dating as a Black woman. Let's see.
Hey girl, my name is Amar White. I'm a dating coach for Black and Brown women, and I've been a dating coach for 14 years. And I wanted to share with you what the top, mid, and bottom cities are to date in as a Black woman based on my experience. So let's get into it. So the bottom cities, number 5, Phoenix. Girl, Phoenix is very racist, and the Black men they are with the white women, the Hispanic women, and even the Native girls on the reservation. So Phoenix.
Wait a minute. So he says Phoenix is racist because the Black men are with white and Hispanic women and women on reservations. So he's basically saying they want to get away from you so bad that they're going to the reservations so they can pick someone else. And it's like, okay, is this the type of content that is supposed to be empowering? towards women who are black or black adjacent, or maybe they have black features or dark skin, because he's not qualifying what makes Phoenix in particular so racist. All he's saying is basically black women don't get picked. So it's the same talking point of you're at the bottom. You're at the bottom if you're black, you're at the bottom if you're dark. So that's the part where it's like annoying to me. But hold on, let me keep playing it.
Number 5. Number 4, Miami. Girl, there's no black middle class in Florida, and especially in Miami. The Cubans are not checking for black women, unfortunately. And the Haitians are very tricky to date. And I'm being diplomatic.
Wait. So then he says the Haitians are very tricky to date. So it's like, okay, the dating thing, like I noticed that a lot of women, they're very codependent on kind of these dating coaches. They're codependent on their advice. Like they're so obsessed with what men have to say in particular. Notice how they're very black male centered. Anwar is a black male. They're very MLS woman centered because we are their standard for hypergamy and social climbing, which is why you see them flocking to channels like Shira 7. So it's like, okay, they're centered around anybody who doesn't have their exact phenotype. And in the case of Anwar, he's basically telling you if you're black, you're going to be fucked in cities like Phoenix. Because basically the native women are chosen over you, the Hispanic women are chosen over you, and black men are choosing them. And it's like, okay, what happened to the whole swirling thing?
3, LA. Lots of colorism, very much into the Eurocentric look. So a lot of the black men are just really focused on lighter skin and Hispanic and white women.
Wait a minute. He said that in LA, they're focused on the Eurocentric look and that the black men are focused on light skinned and Hispanic and white women. So light skinned black women are now Eurocentric, according to his own talking point. So this is proof that when they say, oh, you're light skinned, you look like a regular black woman. You look like a regular, unambiguous, dark skinned black woman. Well, clearly that's false because even Anwar is differentiating between the two. And he called light skinned black women Eurocentric. JT Hellstrom says, can a gay guy truly be a good dating coach for heterosexuals without having biased views based on his own proclivities? Yeah. I agree. Like, why are you looking to someone who's like not even straight? And I'm not trying to say that like they can't have knowledge if they're LGBT, but yeah, it's a very interesting phenomenon.
And then also California is actually quite racist, and there's only like 5% of the state that is black. And so
Then he says it's racist and 5% of the state is black. But I thought that the black community wanted to get out of black neighborhoods and, places where it's run by all black people because I thought those places were corrupt and dusty and filled with crime. So now you see the cognitive dissonance coming out again, where it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So on the one hand, you got people saying, oh, black people should get out of these ghetto black neighborhoods. But then they're saying, oh, but don't go to California and you can't date there because they're all colorist and racist because it's only 5% black. Dusty Slayer says gay men can't give advice on women dating men. They're straight black women's competition since they date DL men. Yeah, and I guess my question too is with Anwar in particular, does he have a husband or I don't know, like a history of healthy relationships and stuff? Because that's another thing I've noticed for a lot of people, there's a lack of vetting. This is why I say, even for myself, I'm not an advice channel because I'm not qualified to give advice. You can't actually vet me. So a lot of times you've got people giving advice that are not living the lifestyle of their subscribers. It's more so like they just put themselves on a pedestal and it's like, oh, just give me money and then like I will teach you how to do it. This person says, at this point, this is just entertainment. Most women do not apply these advices. It's not practical and realistic. Exactly. It's a coping mechanism. It's an emotional coping mechanism, this type of content. It makes people feel more soothed because they're like, oh, cool. So me not being able to date in LA as a dark skinned woman, Anwar says that it's because everybody's just colorist and racist. So that's why. So good. Like Anwar's on my side because now I don't have to like take accountability for anything I might be doing that's fucked up. No, it's just because the entire state of California is just racist. So again, it's that talking point of if you don't date me, you're racist. If you don't like me, you're colorist. If you don't give me the dick, you're anti-black. Sienna says, I'd love to hear the reasoning behind black women listening to him because logically speaking, he is their competition. Yeah. Dusty Slayer says Anwar doesn't even set up speed dating for these women. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, if people are paying tens of thousands of dollars, I thought he was going to have some men vetted or something, or some sort of matchmaking service. No. Hitsuyaga says rainbow men themselves need dating advices very badly. Their community is a mess. They don't have time to worry about straight people. I mean, and do you guys see any straight dating coaches trying to tell LGBT people how to date? Because I have not seen that. Not as popular as like how Kevin Samuels and Anwar were. Christiane says, "Oop, Dusty Slayer, that's tea right there." Fitness Low says, when the black community says you look like a regular black woman, they're trying to stop us from using our pretty privilege to our full potential. Yeah, I think they're trying to approximate themselves to you because it makes them feel better. It's like, oh, I feel better about myself because she looks just like me.
You have very few people to consider in your consideration set while you're dating in LA, which makes it really hard. Number two, Houston. Houston is a great up and coming city, but it's very difficult to date there because one, there's not a lot of men of color that are in the middle class. So you have
Okay, so then he says Houston is basically, that sucks as well. So first he said the non-black places like Phoenix and California are bad because they're like non-black. So then he goes on to name some majority black places. And then he says, oh wait, no, but those places are bad too. Because in Houston, there's basically not a middle class. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought that that was kind of true like in America in general, that the middle class is shrinking. So I'm wondering where he's getting these talking points of, oh, this city is particularly bad. It sounds like he's just listening to his subscribers complain. He's listening to his subscribers complaining and saying, "Oh no, I live in XYZ city and it's hard for me." And it's like, have you ever stopped to think that this is just another version of what I call femcel content? Love Sunflower Sunny says exactly. Y'all right about the competition. If anything, women now got to be careful. Be careful from DL men who pretend to be straight and think of us as incubators. A says, can we talk about how everyone said Iris is boring and average? Yeah, that's messed up. I didn't have a problem with Iris on Love Island. JT Hellstrom says many women in Houston have STDs currently. Fitness Low says he isn't even helping them. Libra Vibes says, OMG, I made the live. Yes. Pretty Girl Club. Christiane says, meanwhile, these people in these cities probably can't get dates because they're insufferable in some way. So it's like you've got this obsession with dating and relationships in the black community. And I talk about how I think it actually comes from codependency. I feel like a lot of black men are financially codependent and a lot of black women are emotionally codependent. So that's why you've got mainly black creators or black adjacent creators making the most relationship content. And then they're gaining these like big followings and all that because people are obsessed with this thing that they don't know how to achieve. It's almost like they view it as a flex to be in a relationship. Hitsugaya says Houston and Atlanta have HIV rates similar to African countries. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm going to hell for laughing. That's so messed up. Brown Exotical says Iris is pretty and chill. Yeah, she was very classy on the show. I didn't have a problem with her really.
guys that are in tech, doctors, real estate, oil, and then you have guys that are on the poverty line. And so it's hard to really date. And because there's so few of them at the top, they think that they're the prize. You have a lot of also guys that have come from DC and Atlanta who think that they're hot shit and they couldn't stack up well there. So they come to Houston to get their life, right? And so a lot of guys in Houston.
Wait a minute, but if there's a huge gap between rich and poor, how would the men from all these other places be able to get their life in Houston? So he's contradicting himself. First, he's saying, oh, there is no middle class. Oh, but the middle class from Atlanta and DC comes to Houston and they think they're hot shit. Which one is it? Is there a strong middle class in Houston or is there not?
Houston think that they're the prize. Also, you got a lot of Nigerians there, and Nigerians are also very tricky to date, and I'm being very diplomatic there as well. So that's number two. Number one, ATL. ATL is the most difficult city to date. And when a woman tells me that she is an ATL, I say RIP. And I say that because you have a huge gender ratio gap there, which means that for every 6 to 8 Black women that are ready for a relationship, you have one Black man. So you have all of these women chasing these men, and they don't have to settle down. They don't even have to treat you well. And I think
So now he's saying because of the gender ratio, you've got women chasing after these men and the men don't have to settle down. Okay, so you're implying that the only way a man would settle down with an unambiguous Black woman is if there's nobody chasing him. So if nobody wants him, that's when he'll settle down. But because these men are being chased in Atlanta by other women and you can't compete, you're not able to lock in this sacred Black love. Christiane says, "You're the first and only person on YouTube Live that has said my name correctly." Yay, shout out to you. I Love Sunflower says, "I need to hear success stories by the dozens. If not, he's making money way more than helping women." Exactly. Like, what is the success rate? And I mean, no shade to him. Obviously, I support like having an online business, but it's like, what is the success rate of people like Anwar or like Kevin Samuels? Vale says, "Oh, yes, I see the most Black men talking about sex and relationships all the damn time." RTGP says, "Hey, EU, good to see you, RTGP." Sarah Malmod says, "This guy has no clue." Brown Exotical says, "Damn, everywhere is difficult according to him." Exactly. So it's like, what cities should these women live in? So do you see how people, they're able to create communities based on complaining? So it's complaining about colorism, complaining about lack of representation, complaining about dating. It's like there's this culture of complaining. And then people have the audacity to say, well, you're making your skin tone your personality. You're making being pretty your personality. Okay. And you're making your traumas your personality. That's why you guys are promoting creators where their whole brand is based on trauma. And then you have the audacity to say that the exotical space is just light skinned tears or mixed race tears or turning being pretty into being a victim. But you've got people making content where they're turning the entire state of California or the entire city of Atlanta into being a victim. Betty G says, "Hi, happy to catch my first live. Anwar is just a con man using unambiguous Black women's insecurities because he knows they will eat it up. He knows they love the victimization talking points." Yeah, I feel like a lot of Black creators, it's almost like they either get bullied into repeating these victim talking points, or it's like they know that they will keep subscribers and stuff if they give in to these talking points. Hitsugaya says he's going to send unambiguous Black women to the moon at this point. Amari says, "And now everyone is buying those skim shorts that Iris wore in an episode. They're just haters." Christiane says, "Exactly. Creators like him are cons who literally make their money from the fears and insecurities of unambiguous Black women."
And if you all see that, if you live in ATL, you also, the other reason is you got a lot of men that are just focused on poly relationships because of that gender ratio gap. And then you have a lot of DL and gay guys that are there, which makes dating very tricky and oftentimes dangerous. So those are the like bottom cities for Black women to date in. The mid cities are cities that I think have great high quality relationship ready men, but men are focused on their career and not focus on much anything else and will settle down later on in life. So those men are in DC proper, New York men, and men in Chicago.
Okay, so now he's saying basically the bigger cities, DC, New York, and Chicago, those men are mid-tier because they're going to marry you at an older age. Okay, so then he's admitting that any man who gets married at an older age is mid-tier. So what do the divestors end up marrying? A lot of them are marrying these older, hella old, 50, 60, 70-year-old white men. Okay, so according to Anwar, those types of guys are mid-tier because they had to spend way more time focusing on their career. They had to spend 50 and 60 years just so they can break 100K.
Now, for Chicago and New York, the thing that makes things so difficult in those cities is because there's so many men there that it can actually be very frustrating experience to date because you have to go through a lot of different guys, which means a lot of different disappointments to get to your person. And that's why those cities are mid-tier. And finally, the top cities, the cities that I actually love if you're a Black woman there. I know that you're going to get your guy in 6 to 9 months versus twice as long. One, MV, not DMV, MV, Maryland and Virginia. If you're in those areas, you're in a great position to find your person, right? You have men that are up and coming, that are stable in their career, that are very diverse areas, that are really checking for Black women in a significant way.
That's because a lot of them have a very high poverty rate. When are they gonna talk about how a lot of men in the Black community are like 50-50? Like, why do I not hear him talking anything about this? He's making it like, oh, if you move to Maryland or Virginia, they're really checking for Black women. It's like, okay, why is it that the only standard for you to get with someone is, do they check for Black women, yes or no? I see nothing about actually vetting, for them to talk so much about vetting. You guys know my thoughts on vetting. There is no such thing as perfect vetting. And it's damn sure not going to be moving to Maryland. He said, oh, if you move to Maryland, you're going to find someone in 6 to 9 months. That sounds like a damn lie. Anybody who believes that, you deserve to be scammed, honestly. You deserve to be scammed. Oh, let me just go move to Maryland. Then I'm going to find someone in 6 months. That doesn't even sound right. Like, where did you even get that from? This person says, Anwar used to look really good in the beginning. He looks a mess now. I bet his customers drive him crazy and are so codependent and be asking for advice for every move and situation. Well, yeah, and now he's telling them to move to Maryland. If that's not male centered, I don't know what is. So imagine watching a TikTok and you move across the country because a guy on TikTok says you're going to find someone in 6 months if you move to Maryland.
Okay? And then secondly, the research triangle. So Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, if you're in that area, very educated, men that are stable in their careers, looking to settle down. If you're in those two areas, you're in a good place to get your guy and get your life, girl, no shade. So let me know what you think about this list.
Then he says Raleigh, I think Durham. So North Carolina, that has a high population of Black retirees. We know that the death rate of Black men is like pretty young. So now you're saying that they should go to these places where you got all these old uncles. You want to go where Bobo and them are staying over in North Carolina, which also has a very high poverty rate. So go get Bobo and them, and then you'll be able to find your man in 6 months. It's like he said the number one area is where there are a whole bunch of older Black men. Vale says most unambiguous Black women are addicted to being victims. No shade. So, as you said, it's just their confirmation bias in a way. Yeah. Siana says, do gay Black men go 50-50 with other gay Black men? I am not sure. Dusty Slayer says he's parroting what women say online. Shira tells women to marry old men with resources. Males in the DC area are obsessed with status and are judging you for your family reputation, career, and education. Yeah, and Shira7, she also is not a relationship channel. And she has said that several times. So all the people that are looking to her as a relationship guru, those people are not very smart because she has said so many times, I am a finance channel. You should get money and start your own business. Deke says Durham and the RDU area is absolutely trash for Black women. I go to school there. Lexdoll United says old uncles. That woman paid him 10K to end up dating down. So I think for him, dating Dusties is an option too. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like it's just whoever is checking for me, I'm going to check for them. Dusty Slayer says there is hella competition with all the accomplished Black women in the DC area. Please don't go there being naive. JT Hellstrom says age 67 is the average life expectancy for Black men. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.